Hello, everybody, and welcome to the POAP Community Call number 24. For this edition of the call, we're going to turn that community dial up to the number 11 because we have a whole bunch of people from the community in here this week, and they're going to not only provide knowledge and insight into the things that we talk about today, but they're also going to provide knowledge and insight to the things that they do and how they use POAPs to enrich their communities as well. So, a usual up here, one of the main hosts, Superphiz, welcome on.
Hello, glad to be here.
And then we're going to go ahead and go through all of the special guests that we have on today. So I would like for you to say who you are, kind of describe what you do for the community, and we're going to go ahead and start with Unvetica. Hello, welcome on.
Hello, thank you. I appreciate being on today. I am Unvetica.eth. I am a community contributor over at Gitcoin, one of the core members for EthStaker, the lead on Ethereum Studymaster, which we'll hopefully talk about in a little bit, and just a general ETH maxi and Poep enthusiast. So happy
Awesome.
to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you on. And WholesomeCrypto, able to come up today. Pleasure to have you on. Hello. We'll come back to him. DrMalachi, you make a surprise appearance with us today. Hello.
Hey, good to be back. Sorry, I've been MIA for the last couple of weeks. Try to hit these more often, but I'm just honored to be with you guys every week. I try to make POAPs interesting and creative for very unique contexts and events. One of which was the first ever POAP for the Southern Baptist Convention. Doesn't that sound fun? Last week in Anaheim, and so did that, gave out some codes, had some fun with it, and community manager now for John Gordon, who's a best-selling author. We're gonna be doing some POAPs for some of the books he's releasing. So just a lot of things, but I just love you guys and love being part of this. So that's who I am.
Yep, always definitely pushing what you can do with POAPs, DrMalachi. Also up here, we have UBIpromoter. Going to have a great conversation with you later on.
Yeah, excited. I'm also named Philip. Deeply involved in BrightID and excited to figure out how to make BrightID and POAP play nicely together, because proving where you are and that you're only there once is super important. Also involved in all kinds of DAOs, including DAO and Flamingo and Gitcoin and One Hive and lots of others. So yeah, excited to see lots of cool people here.
Awesome. Great to have you on. And Karmaticacid, welcome up as well. Great to have you on. From Giveth. Oh no, it appears that I'm not able to hear you. There we go. I can hear you now. Hello. Oh, well, I was able to hear you for a second.
She did speak up earlier. Maybe she's having. Well, that's the second person with audio trouble today.
Oh no.
Muting and unmuting. So she.
Rudy, are you able to speak to us now?
I found out mine.
Wait, can you hear
Rudy?
All right, there we go.
Hooray! I was actually trying to do push to talk, but I forgot to change my settings to enable the permissions, but that didn't work. So back to my intro. Well, maybe Karmatica could figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have the Wholesome Crypto podcast show. I think most of you have actually seen Superphiz's show. If not, great episode, a must watch. And I also produce a cartoon series, Bitcoin and Friends. Another great show on YouTube, but that's my contribution to the network and to the community. Hopefully, can keep giving.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, sure can.
Oh, yay, cool. Sorry about that. I'm Karmaticacid from Giveth. I'm just going to jump off that. And yeah, Giveth is a donation platform, and we actually have bi-weekly POAPs that we give out to donors to verify projects. And so at Giveth, I work leading our comms team, and I do product development for like cool, fun Give token utility things that are going to be coming out soon. And yeah, I'm just super happy to be here and hang out with you all.
Awesome. Definitely can't wait to talk about Giveth later on as well. But all right, everyone. So we do have a Slido that we use in order to get a gauge on what the community wants to talk about, or any questions and things like that that you may have for us. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to link that into the community calls chat here in the official POAP Discord. Some of the questions on there we're actually going to be hitting today. And part of the conversations that we'll have are actually because people in the Slido asked for us to talk about them. But Superphiz, we use the DGen bot to distribute POAPs on this call. Do you want to talk about how that works?
I do. Wow, it's been a while since I've had this role. So we use DGen to track listeners. Wow, that sounded very scary. We use DGen bot to know who's here participating with the call. And so we'd like to share a POAP with all of the real live breathing people who are here. And so in order to get that, you need to remain in the call for most of the call. If you hop back and forth between different calls, you won't get credit for listening. And if you deafen your audio to make us go away, you also won't get credit for participating. Then at the end of the call, we'll let you know, and you can go to the claim channel and type a special word /claim. And if I get anyone from POAP on the line to provide codes, then we will you'll be able to claim a POAP for participating in this call. We've gotten 23 in a row, so I feel good about making this one work as well.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be just fine. But all right. So, speaking of DGen bot and POAPs, I want to talk about the premium POAP test aftermath. So, for those that were here last week, developer Slinky Potato from Bankless DAO, he was invited onto the community call to test the new premium feature of the DGen bot. Now, I do want to say something really quick before I jump in even more. I have seen some people who were a little bit confused about the naming convention of premium POAP. I want to say that at the protocol level, this is not something that POAP is giving. This is just the naming convention that DGen bot is using. It's actually more of like a premium feature with DGen and not necessarily a premium POAP from POAP themselves. But now that I have cleared that up a little bit, so this is something that we were building up to for the last few weeks, and thankfully we were able to provide a large-scale test for a new way to distribute POAPs. So in order to make sure that the quality of a POAP is as high as possible, distributions are resistant to Sybil attacks, which is when one person is able to operate under many fake identities, and spam are necessary. Something that is important in distributing a POAP is making sure that you're giving the correct amount of your POAP to those who are actually participating. For events that are in person, this is pretty easy to get right. You have to take your body and physically place yourself at the event after all. And the problems with real-life events are mostly around just making sure that each person only gets one code and that they actually get it. However, there's another layer of care for virtual events. For virtual events, there are added complications of figuring out who actually attended, and in many cases, even the quality of attendance is being considered. For example, here at the POAP Community Call, we tackled this by having our call on Discord and using the DGen bot. And the bot is able to see who is here for us, and as a bonus, it feeds the mint links to those who hit our participation criteria of 10 minutes when it's time to distribute our POAP. The premium feature from DGen bot is another way for event organizers to have control over who qualifies for your POAP. To keep it simple, the premium feature adds an unlock button to the claim window that DGen users would be familiar with. For the test that we had held last Wednesday, we asked our listeners to send a tiny amount of testnet-matic on the Mumbai testnet to an address that DGen bot automatically generated. And once DGen saw the amount of testnet-matic was equal to, or greater than 0.001 in our case, the mint link was made available if you clicked the unlock button. Now, as for our POAP drop last call, we had over 2,100 eligible listeners, and 1,700 were able to claim. And this is in line with our previous calls numbers for the last month or so. We have about 2,000 people show up and around 1,600 to 1,700 people claim. And so I'm really glad to see that our community was able to come out and help test this feature. Now, something that I want to talk about with everybody here, some discussion. So what are some of the thoughts that you guys had on your experience with the DGen bots premium feature? How do you feel like the test went? Do you have any feedback for Slinky Potato? Do you have any features that you think could be added to that to make it better, etc.? So I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor to anybody who would like to do that. I don't want to be
Did you
keep
say
talking.
how many were claimed?
Yes, it was about 1,700. Last I saw, it was like 1,733. I actually have the POAP gallery open on my normal computer, the one that I can't access the internet on right now. It says 1,733 were minted.
Sure, and that's interesting from our perspective because we talk a lot about the difference between spam resistance and symbol resistance, and like I recognize right now there are 1,500 people in this room, but we're never certain how many of those people represent actual bodies and how many people are running some kind of software to make it appear that they're here when they may not be here. So it looks like having a small charge gave us well, we expected it to give us some kind of spam resistance. I expected really for there to be 100 or 200 claims, but to find that we have a similar number of claims to the number of people who are here begins to make me wonder. Maybe there are more real people here than I know.
Yeah, it really is kind of interesting. When I was first diving into the numbers, because I wouldn't say I had the same expectation of you, but I did believe that the number would be far lower than normal because there's sort of this worry that the people who interact with us and come to not only our show, but just other things on Discord or other spaces, like a Twitter space or a YouTube live stream, that the people that the mint links are being taken away from people who truly deserve them. Things like secret word, for example, that secret word gets out and you have your minting window open for too long. Well, there goes all your mint links. So having things in place like DGenBot to make sure that one person gets one code as long as they participated in the way that we would want them to, or the event organizer would want them to, it's pretty good to see. And again, it's very interesting to see that our numbers really didn't change.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of why I'm excited to hear from Philip tonight. I've never called you Phil. Philip tonight, regarding civil resistance using BrightID, and I just posted in community call. I wanted to think of the quickest way to do a poll, so I used a Twitter poll, and there's a link in the community channel to ask if you're BrightID verified. That will be very interesting to find out if you're watching the call, if you want to go respond to that poll. It will be great 15 or 20 minutes. How many people here are BrightID verified or not? And I acknowledge there will be some bleed over from Twitter, but probably not too much. So I'm just curious to find out.
Was there anybody that's a guest today that came to the community call last week and went through the process of claiming your premium POAP? Oh man.
I do have just like a noob question. So
Sure.
I've not had any exposure to the premium DGen bot, but just out of general curiosity, is that available now for someone to use, or is this strictly just kind of private testing?
What we had done was a public test. I don't believe it's going to be available to anybody to use right now, and there's definitely a lot of infrastructural things that will want to be added before it becomes something that a lot of people would want to use, I think, anyway. At the moment, it's very bare bones, very manual, and so I believe what they want to do is make sure that some of the processes are more streamlined and not necessarily like, okay, I have to copy and paste this address and send the test matic there, etc. Or even just finding out other things that can be used for the unlock button. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a transaction monetarily. It could just be signing it, or it could just be hey, if you do this thing, then you get access, etc. Still being built out.
Or
But yeah, as for
is
my
that public repo
experience,
if anyone is interested in listening to that want to contribute?
that is a good question. I'm actually unsure of that. I'll have to ask Slinky Potato that. They do
Yeah, I'm
have
pretty confident
documentation.
there is a public repo.
Yeah, something that's really great about the Web3 environment is that a lot of projects are open source, so I wouldn't doubt if it is available.
Well, that's the funny thing about Web3 is not only are most projects open source, but most community members expect open source software because if you're putting money or reputation on the line, you want to know what's behind that. So it's kind of neat that that's an expectation.
Hey guys.
Welcome back up.
I just got
Hello.
back on.
Yep,
You guys hear
glad
me?
to have you.
Yes.
So yeah, happy later in my right time to dig more into the anti-civil stuff. That's what I spent a ton of time focused on. When I listen, so this is the first time I've been to this call, and I've been impressed watching the numbers quickly climb up. When you guys talked about, hey, we put this hurdle in that involved transactions on a test network where people probably didn't even have the asset. Like, my first reaction was, the people that are good at scripting things can easily do that kind of a hurdle in a way that maybe a regular user isn't willing to do the work. It's like easier to do it. Hey, I'm here as a civil. My plan is to claim 100 of these things, so I can very efficiently do this hurdle 100 times, while like some normal new person are like, I'm not willing to jump through all those hoops. So I don't know if the fact that a lot of people did that, I'd be curious to like look at the transactions and like see like how they were timed or something like that, to see if it was people acting like people or things looking programmatic.
Bots looking like bots. Yeah, that's actually a great idea. I didn't think about that, but I'm really very excited to I can't wait till the first time, and I don't know whether it's going to be in a week or 5 years, that we have the first BrightID enabled POAP. But I can't wait to apply it to something like this call and just I have to acknowledge that there are people who are listening who will not be BrightID verified, but I'm curious to see how many people will actually be BrightID verified to claim it.
We could also probably make it such that how long after you have a claim link can you claim a POAP? Is there a time limit?
It depends on that
yeah.
POAP.
Yeah, so I wonder, it could be like, hey, you don't have to have BrightID to like start the process, but you won't get yours until you're verified. And maybe you could have 10 of them waiting for you once you're BrightID verified. Just be like, oh, now I get them.
Right.
Yeah, very excited. Hey, you know what? I think our cross-pollination might be including a POAP in the BrightID call. Like, that would be great cross-pollination for both communities.
We used to give them, and people loved them, and it became, we didn't have the DGen, and we do our calls on Zoom, so it wouldn't work. And the people that were there just for the POAP and like not acting in good ways, it sort of stopped being worth it to deal with the bad guys. And we just wished that there was some simple tool that that is the kind of things that we all want to exist. I loved listening to the intro about like, how does POAP do it now? What are the problems? And clearly you guys are understanding the problems even more than I knew. So really glad to hear that. And as a big open source community, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about this call, we actually do this on Discord because of the need to have some kind of controlled POAP delivery, but we hate not having a video aspect to it. So it is frustrating for us. And we also have a lot of pushback from POAP about, are we using best practice in delivery? And, I'm saying, yes, I want to use best practice. Give me tools. Give me a way to minimize farming. And, the third thing is we do this in a stage format, which limits participant engagement, because in some ways, like we have to manage farming. And if it is a totally open stage, we end up having a lot of people who just say, where's my POAP? Can I get my POAP? And it takes away from the core of the call.
Right. Now, something that is definitely possible, these things are always being developed. Something that could be very interesting is in order to unlock your POAP, you have to be BrightID verified. So maybe the check with DGenBot isn't necessarily you sending a transaction, but it's confirming that you're BrightID verified. There's plenty of things that this is able to do. It's the concept of that, okay, you participated in a virtual event. You do have the ability to get your Mint link. However, you need to do these steps to prove to us that you actually participated. That's pretty much what the premium feature of DGen is trying to do. And this is definitely something that we are going to talk about a little bit later when Philip, we have our community corner with you. But I do want to move on to some more topics while we still have time. So I have two small stories about POAP at NFT NYC that I'm going to go through really quick. We don't really need to talk about them. I just want to talk about POAP's presence at NFT NYC really quick. So, of course, one of the big events going on right now is NFT NYC in New York City, and POAP is there. In fact, like, so many people from POAP are there that it was sort of difficult for us to make sure that we were going to be okay today, but I have it's on my other computer. Could somebody please go down to the outro where it says POAP booth at NFT NYC and paste that into the chat for me? So there is a POAP booth at NFT NYC. They're on the 9th floor. You can go buy things like IYK discs and get a whole bunch of merchandise from POAP. And then some other things happening with POAP at NFT NYC. Two news stories for you. So, small one. Token Proof is partnering with POAP. So Token Proof is at NFT NYC, and their application is being used in an interesting way. So Token Proof is an app that allows users to prove token ownership without having their wallet on their phone. And this allows users to do things like attend token gating events without putting their assets at risk. NFT NYC are hosting multiple events which are token gated, and Token Proof is making sure only those eligible to attend are the ones attending. These limited access events go hand in hand with protocols like POAP because the circumstances lend themselves to a quality distribution. Token Proof is not unaware of this and has partnered with POAP to automatically deliver POAPs to guests who check in to the token-gated events with Token Proof. So hopefully something like this kind of style where, hey, I have my proof, I'm allowed to be here, scan it in, I know that you attended because we know that you're supposed to be there, etc., etc. It would be nice to be able to see something like that for virtual events as well, and I think with things like BrightID and things like the premium DGen features, we're making our way there. But I want to go ahead and talk about this last small topic from NFT NYC. So, the Littles NFT project are having a POAP treasure hunt. So there is a fundraiser for Ukraine's children taking place at NFT NYC this year. And for those hearing of the Littles.io for the first time like I did, let me fill you in really quick. So this is a for fun NFT project that dislikes the, quote, serious grown-ups, which I felt kind of offended at that because it's really aimed at me here. So the serious grown-ups, they are people who are all about explaining why their project has utility, or their token's the best, or they just bring FUD wherever they go. So instead of all that, the Littles hold themselves to the standard of never be boring, and focus on things like adventure, dreams, exploring, and mischief. And though their manifesto by Will Lee on Medium may have a childish and lighthearted attitude, the Littles' need for adventure led them to holding a serious event. And this year at NFT NYC, the Littles project is holding a treasure hunt to raise money for children displaced by the war in Ukraine. Life-size statues of Jojo Bear, which is the main character of the collection, they've been placed throughout New York City with a QR code attached to it. For every QR code that gets scanned, $1 is going to be donated to KidSave, which rescues children and families in Ukraine and provides humanitarian aid. The location of the first statue was told to the public in advance. Those that go to Shopify NYC at 131 Green Street from June the 20th until tomorrow at midnight, you're going to be able to get at least one scan in for the event. And other statues of Jojo Bear are going to be traveling around the conference and to different landmarks in New York City. And their locations are going to be announced on the Littles Twitter, which is at the Littles NFT. It's also going to be on their Discord pages, and it's going to be part of the hashtag JoJo's Adventure treasure hunt campaign. So lovely hashtag there. However, finding Jojo Bear statues doesn't stop at donations to Ukraine children. Tapping a statue base with your phone allows collection of one of 4 POAPs based on the day the statue was tapped. And collecting all 4 POAPs is going to enter you to win one of 3 treasure hunt prizes. In a quote from Will Lee, the creator of the Littles NFT project, he had said, "We're excited to make the world of NFTs more accessible and approachable with this not-so-little activation while giving back to children in dire need. Our daughter Jordan always appreciates and enjoys the little things in life with her raw, can-do attitude. To me, this is the purest form of happiness, the root of us all. The teddy bear form, the Littles is The teddy bear form of the Littles is inspired by my daughter's favorite toy, so what better way to honor her than to create a series inspired by it? The Littles' mission is to remind others of long-forgotten moments of pure joy and aspire to become the Mario of Web3. So, I am going to ask somebody to post the link in the community calls chat. It is an article from NFT Culture that gives some extra info that I did not talk about. But yes, those are 2 small things that I want to talk about POAP related at MTNYC, and next week we are going to have a lot to talk about from the event, so I'm sure we're going to save it until then. As for now, Unvetica, you have something that you wanted to share with everybody that is important and involves POAP.
Yeah, thanks. So I wanted to sort of discuss real briefly the Ethereum Studymaster program, which was sort of birthed out of the EthStaker community, and how POAP effectively drives that platform and how it incentivizes someone to not just want to have the want to learn, but actually have something that they can tangibly point to and say for a fact that they've achieved something. And POAP does a really wonderful job of sort of fitting that exactly as it relates to the Ethereum Studymaster. So for those that are already in the know, Ethereum Studymaster is effectively, it was, I don't know what you would really call it, like a pilot test program that Superphiz actually started out of the EthStaker community to help galvanize those that were interested in learning things specific to the Ethereum protocol, reading white papers, reading ERCs as they would come through, and then coming together as a collective, reading these papers and taking quizzes as they related to those papers. And this would happen over weeks. So every week we would come together and read some content. We would take a quiz, and that was over something like 7 or 10 weeks or something around that the time frame. And then after you took all of those quizzes and you passed, you were awarded this Ethereum Studymaster POAP. And it really has a lot of gravitas to it because of the amount of work that someone had to put into and dedicate time towards. It was weeks of work. It was not, insignificant types of learning. These were protocol level things, so it's kind of technically dense. So you had to really dedicate yourself. So in the form in which this took from the user perspective were usually like Google form quizzes that were made up, and then we would just hyperlink to specific papers or videos or whatever they were. So it was very, from a technical and workflow perspective, a very informal process. The response, though, from the community was wonderful in terms of they wanted more courses, they wanted more content. It was really something that people were interested and motivated by. So we've sort of begun the process of giving it a more formal home. So you can actually go to it now. It's ethereumstudymaster.com. Right now, I would consider what's currently out there a beta version to make sure that the platform sort of has legs and that the fundamental workflow in terms of how the quizzes work and distribution of POAPs functions correctly. So we're currently in the middle of version 2, which will bring additional courses. Right now, there's just the one out there, and a more efficient, Sybil resistant way of distributing POAPs. And the reason I bring this up and how sort of POAP drives this thing, like I said before, is it effectively is the same format to the very first pilot version of Ethereum Studymaster that was done on Reddit and Google Forms, where this isn't just about learning something new about Ethereum, but that's technical aspects from the protocol level or something within the ecosystem like NFTs and DeFi and everything that we know and love within Ethereum. That's one thing, right? To motivate and allow people content that they can rely on, that they know is technically correct, that is easily available. But what we're trying to do is push that concept further so that it isn't just people collecting POAPs and then just sort of sit there. We want to sort of give utility and start fleshing out a secondary market to wherein those POAPs almost effectively are your professional resume, right? So if I'm looking for a job, I can see a reality where maybe a job provider is saying, okay, well, instead of 4-year degree and XYZ job description, no. It's now I want this POAP, and this POAP, and if you got them, you connect your wallet, and that's your application, because they can definitively say you went through this process. The POAP was distributed in a very Sybil resistant way, and you can say within a certain degree that the content that we're looking for. So it definitely has a lot of potential and a lot of utility, and could be a very powerful thing in the future once we get more and more content out there. So I just wanted to kind of give more light and exposure to that platform as it grows and matures. And it may be a little late. Looks like we're on the 22nd right now. So we've got one more day, but those that are interested in wanting to see this platform mature and grow, we do have a Gitcoin grant out there. Search for Ethereum Studymaster out there on Gitcoin, and put your vote out there. We're not looking for hundreds or thousands of dollars. We're looking for one die. We're looking for one vote that says you are interested in this thing, you feel it adds value to the community and would like to see it grow. All of those things help us in the growth and expansion of the Ethereum Studymaster. So happy to answer any questions if there are any, but yeah, that's what I'm here for.
I'm really excited to start help make this with you.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I love that you're using POAPs as a means of like a certification, or in terms of I've been there, I've done that, I'm authorized, and it's like fun seeing the creativity behind different POAP creations becoming more than just a proof of attendance, like a proof of who you are and where you've been.
Totally agree, and that's exactly how I'm looking at it too. It almost feels like after you complete these courses that the POAP has this certain feel or gravitas to like a certificate. Coming from like the IT world, it's like you got your CompTIA and everything else. It's like this kind of feels like that same thing, which is really interesting to see kind of unfold.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like me and my fiance are working on an idea too, where you receive a POAP for completion of like meditation, because she's a yoga instructor, and like you said, like you complete a meditation course for like 7 days, you become approved, and you can actually join a different community where other people have also completed a 7-day meditation challenge, and then there's a 14-day, 30-day, and you can join those communities to help assist the same people who are having the same struggles, trying to advance in their meditation challenges and practices. So it's really awesome. Like anything I think with using POAPs and like certification is such a appealing subject, and yeah, I'd love to see what you're doing, and definitely want to talk more about how we can collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to that up, I love the idea of, it's the first time I've heard the idea of like offering and distributing a POAP in terms of like meditation and things like that. I love the incorporating health and sort of a wholesome aspect and driving that with POAP. I think that's great. In fact, there's a group, a personal fitness trainer that I know of. He's got a Discord out there called FOMO Fitness. And it's kind of using that same logic where what he's doing is providing fitness incentives by proxy of POAP. So, maybe you do, X workout that week, and if you can prove it, then you get that POAP. And I love seeing how people are integrating these things to motivate, like you said, outside of just attending an event, but actually doing some sort of action.
Absolutely. Yeah, people just, I mean, POAPs are fun to collect in general. It's good because, especially with physical, mental health, education, whatever it is, people end up loving their credentials that they've completed it. I mean, I went to college. I don't feel like I gained too much out of it, but I do enjoy showing like, oh, I completed my coursework. I've completed this. Here's a proof. No one can take it away from me, and I can use that for any job application that I need. But instead of the school holding it, at least I get to hold it, and I get to keep it on my wallet.
Exactly. That I don't know if I'm opening up a new can of worms here, but that has a natural transition to something that I've always wondered. And you bring up sort of how POAP can influence and sort of already is testing the waters in terms of as it's specific to education, right? Certifications and building up your resume. And it's interesting to see POAP start transitioning out from the free distribution of POAPs and the minting, and stepping into the realm of under the sort of shield of civil resistance, putting up a paywall basically. And we're seeing that right now with the premium feature in the DGen bot. I'll be honest, my knee-jerk reaction to that, just because I've been an early POAP adopter and conditioned for free, that I have a natural resistance to not want to pay for POAPs. But the argument here and the question I want to pose is, it's interesting because now if we see POAPs being on the same level as certifications, or even going a step further and saying degrees, well, that $5 POAP doesn't seem so bad. We're thinking about hundreds of thousands of dollars for a college education. So it's kind of interesting to see the perspective shift on that.
I also think it's a great ramp up to what we know is coming with decentralized society. We know that decentralized identity is coming. We know that it's going to be a part of the future. And how cool is it to kind of be on the front end of that, to like have earned the first generation of a POAP that shows that you learned something or that you proved something. I think that to me is the coolest thing. Like, because I know that this stuff is going to be on chain in the future. I want to have like the alpha version of it in my wallet, so I can say, yeah, I was doing that before it was cool.
Right. I love that.
I mean, Superphiz, I think you have the largest collection of POAPs that I've seen.
Well, to be honest, most of them are farmed, so I don't know what to say.
No, you earned it. You earned my POAP. I mean, you went on my show and you earned it, so.
Hey, it was totally worth it. What a great deal.
Yeah, I definitely think a big focus right now with POAPs is the fact that we want to make sure that only people who have truly earned that POAP are actually getting it. And so, using them as identifiers for us is going to be important. And now it's not like, I don't necessarily want POAP to become like you have to pay for it every single time. However, I feel like you sort of describe, you get a POAP for graduating from university, for example. You spend $100,000 for that. Well, like, you're not spending $100,000 for the POAP specifically. However, you were given a POAP for getting through your credentials and things like that. That's kind of how I feel POAP is going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if people did use infrastructure like the premium features from DGen to have a monetary barrier for their unlock. That's definitely going to be something that POAP themselves are going to have to deliberate on, how they want their ethics to be, because POAP is already highly involved with their creation team on how, like, which POAPs are allowed to even exist. So I'm sure that they're gonna, if POAPs do go towards like you have to pay for them directly, they're going to have to put some sort of system in place to make sure that it goes well. But something that could help with that, we're going to start with our community corner. In Superphiz, you're going to host that. And we are going to start with Philip, as we were talking about earlier. Philip is part of BrightID, and they are in the fight against cyber attacks and spam. But Superphiz, I'm going to go ahead and hand everything over to you and let you have your community corner.
Hey, great, thanks. So this is really exciting to me because I have representatives from a couple communities that I'm really excited about, and it's going to be difficult for me to contain these into just a few minutes. But I think
it's okay.
So we have 15 minutes left in the call.
We started late today. Take all your time.
Hey, don't tell me that. So I think a fair target is going to be, shoot, I hate this, but 5 minutes for BrightID, 5 minutes for Giveth, and 5 minutes for Whole. So let me stick to that. That's a yes. Philip, how are you?
Couldn't hear you, Superphiz. You actually cut out.
Oh, I cut out? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
It's the internet of the world.
Yeah, this is on my end then.
So, Philip, can you tell us in 30 seconds, or let's make it in 12 seconds, everything about BrightID?
Basically, you should be able to prove that you're unique. Only that. For people that don't know BrightID, I like the explanation of if you go to a bar and you want to drink, in the United States you have to be 21. What you actually show them is your license, which says your name and your address and your height and your hair color. The only thing they needed to know was a binary answer, yes or no, according to the DMV. We give them all this other information. And what we're saying is that with BrightID, you should be able to give a binary answer that, yes, I exist once in the context of anything without giving any information about yourself other than that fact. I am only collecting one POAP at this event. You know nothing about me other than that, really, I'm only getting one. That's BrightID.
Yeah, and so I love it because I do not like intrusive identity systems. I don't want to give people my driver's license. I don't want to give them really anything. I don't want to tell you my real name. I don't want to tell you where I live. But what's acceptable is for you to know, well, actually, you don't even have to know this, but what's acceptable is for my friends to say, yeah, Superphiz is real. I was on a call with him last night. And that vouch is so valuable in proving who real people are. And that's kind of the thing I love about BrightID. Now, POAP kind of doesn't have any system for Sybil resistance. It's, really, we limit link codes, or we, ask people to jump through hoops. Maybe we ask for a donation, but those are really spam resistance. Mm-hmm. And spam resistance isn't the same standard as true Sybil resistance. And so I really look forward to this continuing and hopefully growing relationship between BrightID and POAP. And I'm sort of, I'm an outsider. You guys don't know this. Like, I don't work for POAP. I don't work for BrightID. I'm just like this random dude who puts things together until they fit. And I really hope we can get this going.
I share that desire, and I also don't work for any of these things, but I'm super involved on a daily basis with BrightID, and I've expressed to the team just how important I think that this partnership could be. I think POAP's a really cool sort of working concept today, and what it could be in the future is dramatically more interesting. But we need to nail down how do you make sure that the right people get the POAPs and not the wrong people, and particularly the bad guys. And so many things with Sybil accounts, unless you really understand, the problem is probably worse than you think it is, because a small minority of Sybil attackers are really good. What they do as their job is Sybil attack things, and they have easy access at their fingertips to all the normal things that would like jump through hoops. It's like, Oh, I need SMS numbers? No problem. I got 10,000 of those. I need Twitter polls? No problem. I got thousands of those. They've even got, they even have KYC information that was stolen from lousy exchanges. So you name it, they've got access to it. And all projects suffer from this small minority of people that take wild over advantage. Your problem isn't someone taking 2 POAPs, it's someone taking 200 POAPs.
Yeah, and that's even if BrightID isn't a perfect solution, it really does prevent that the literal farming. Like it would be possible for me to have one as Superphiz and as my IRL identity, and so that I might find a way to claim 2, but I'm probably not going to find a way to claim 50 because that would be extremely obvious in the system, and I would be rooted out quickly. So the dream that I've been pushing for a couple of weeks now, as we hold these Ethereum beacon chain merge calls, is that people can use their cell phone, their BrightID app and their cell phone to scan a QR code and through BrightID get a POAP link. And I know it's a dream, but it's something that just feels so tangible right now.
We talked through with part of the team just the other day, and we agree we want to figure out how to do this. I guess, and I am not the coder that's going to do this. I think we're happy to facilitate it anyway. I think it's going to have to land on a QR thing as opposed to in the BrightID app. But we will work with smart coders to figure out a solution. And I don't think it should take a lot of time.
Yeah, there are so many smart people who had interest. I won't say there are a lot of smart working on it yet, but I think as that solution emerges, that I think more people will gravitate toward it, and I really think we'll see it pretty frequently in the next year or two. At least I hope so.
Me too.
So yeah, thanks for coming, Philip. I love your attendance. I love the BrightID call. I would encourage everyone here to get verified on BrightID. Check it out. Participate in the calls.
Let me clear up one misconception. Well, I got a big audience. So people complain. The easiest way, if you don't know people on BrightID, you go one of the 15 daily connection parties. You go on a Zoom call with a bunch of strangers and make your first BrightID connections. People worry that this is somehow outing their privacy. Privacy is on the other side. So all you're doing is showing up and saying, yes, I'm going to have BrightID. But when you use your BrightID, the application you're using it for knows nothing about you. They know that you must have connected to people, but they don't know which people you connected to. They don't know which person you are in the social graph. They only know that you went through the process. So you're really not giving up any kind of privacy when you do it. You're just admitting that, yeah, I went to a call.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. So, BrightID is not leaking details about you, and one way to even accentuate that, you're not even really giving many details. So, number one, you're not giving many, and number two, they're not leaking what they do have. So, yeah.
We don't like it. That's not how BrightID works. BrightID only provides a binary answer to the question, have I seen this person before? That's it. We don't even tell you, oh yeah, you saw them on Tuesday. It's like yes or no.
Yeah. And that's, I like to tell people, it's a 0 or a 1. 0 means they're not a real person. 1 means they are a real person. No names, no who you are, no anything, just 0 or 1. I can't think of any purer way to verify attendance. So thanks again. Karmaticacid, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Just enjoying the conversation, really.
Yeah, so glad to have you. We haven't really chatted a lot, but Karmaticacid is from Giveth, and I'm a little obsessed with community goods, and I know the guy, or I don't know him personally, but I know of the guy who set up Giveth, and I've been a big fan of him for years, and Giveth just really accentuates a lot of the community good, the opportunity to give. And so, Karmaticacid, do you want to take just a few minutes to tell everyone how, essentially what Giveth is and how POAP plays into that?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, the main problem we're trying to solve with Giveth is the idea that in order to create public goods, it requires sacrifice. Like governments and nonprofits are typically providing public goods, and nonprofits require donations. Governments require taxes. There's always the kind of like taking, begging, kind of sacrificing funding streams that are required in order to create public goods. Where like public goods are basically just things that everybody can enjoy equally, like things like clean water or infrastructure like good roads. So our mission at Giveth is really to make like the creation of public goods and the funding of public goods rewarding and empowering for everybody involved. So
Karma, I really don't mean to interrupt you. However, there are members in attendance who are not able to hear you.
Oh, really? Should I leave and come back?
I'm unsure how to fix your issue, but there are some people who can't hear you. I'm able to hear you just fine, however, but some people cannot.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can't hear either.
I can leave and come back.
That's the only person I can't hear. Discord acting up, I think.
All right, well, do apologize for that, everyone. We will see if we can get that fixed. It's like a hit and miss. I think Discord's not acting very nice today.
Yeah, we can keep flowing. I have... she's back already. That was fast.
Hey, good.
Yeah, is it better now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great.
Yes,
yeah.
People can hear you. Great.
That's great. Yeah, Discord is weird sometimes. Well, anyway, so I was outlining basically the problem of public goods creation depending on sacrifice. And Giveth came around like to solve that. And what it is, and on the most basic level, is a crypto donation platform. But there's layers on top of that, and one really particularly important layer is something we call the givebacks program. So with givebacks, when somebody uses the platform to donate to a verified public goods project, then they actually get give tokens back. So on the Giveth donation platform, 100% of the donation always goes from the donor to the project, and Giveth pays the donor with Give. And so it's really a reward for donating. It's a way that we reward our donors actually with governance, and we're also using POAP for that as well. So if you donate within a givebacks round, which are 2-week periods where we track the donations on the platform, if you donate within the 2-week givebacks round, then you get a POAP indicating that you donated within that round. So it's really just like a system to reward the people that are providing funding for public goods, to reward the people that are making it possible. And this is really like the first step on a long roadmap where we plan to ultimately turn these public goods projects into DAOs with their own token economies. But for now, just by using the platform to donate and to support public goods projects, you can get rewarded for it.
And that's so awesome. Like I've gone since the beginning, and I make a donation every 2 weeks. And it's funny. Like I get this Giveth stream, but I really mostly just recycle that back into the Giveth economy because I'm just there for the POAP. And so it's a great opportunity. Like if you go and you get in, maybe give $1 or $5 to a project that is meaningful to you. And I know many people here are more interested in POAPs than a platform reward, but you kind of get rewarded in 2 ways. It's really cool.
Yeah, I know. I've actually been like collecting the POAPs myself just because it's a like gotta catch them all thing. It's like there's one for every single givebacks round, so I want to have one of all of the POAPs. So it's like really, I think, like an encouragement also to continue to donate to projects that you believe in.
It sounds like you're one of us and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, right. And it's really cool though. There's tons of great projects on Giveth. So like even if you just kind of go on the website and look around for things, like you could just donate to any random project and become eligible for the POAP. But I think if you kind of like dive into some of the cool projects that are on there, I think it like sparks a different appetite for supporting public goods.
And I'll tell you, if anyone who comes here often, you might have seen Logic Beach as a host. He actually he and his wife run a Giveth project called Make the World a Better Place, where they encourage people to do acts of good deeds, and then you get a POAP for that. And so I don't know, POAP's for everyone, but it's just a really great opportunity.
Wow, that's so cool. That's a project on Giveth?
Yeah, make the world a better place. It's by Logic Beach and his wife, Brittany. That's the Mike
Nice.
Tyson way of saying Brittany. But yeah, I love the platform. I hope more people go and check it out. You don't have to be rich to make a donation. Just get a foot in the door and share something with someone else.
Yeah, and you can donate also on mainnet or on XDAI, or on Gnosis chain. So the gas fees on Gnosis chain are a lot less. The website is at giveth.io, giveth.io, and yeah, and givebacks rounds are continuous. So when one givebacks round ends, the next one begins. So it's every 2 weeks. If you donate within every 2 week period, then you could collect all of the POAPs for all the givebacks rounds.
Yes, thanks again for coming tonight. I hope we see you again.
Yeah, thanks.
Mojo, how much time do we have for Wholesome Crypto? 45 minutes? Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that seems about
Hey,
right.
he's quiet, so
we started a few minutes late today. We have about 5 minutes or so, but I think we're gonna go a little over, and that's okay.
So Rudy, welcome. How are you?
Good. I'm great.
So
Glad to be here.
Rudy, yeah, I'm glad to have you. Rudy runs a podcast called Wholesome Crypto. Can you tell us a little about it?
Yeah, Wholesome Crypto show is all about interviewing the personal side of the people that you love and know in the crypto space. So experts, influencers, entrepreneurs. Like I said before, Superphiz was on there, so I got his personal story of why he got into crypto, how he heard about it, and what he's doing in the industry. I spend most of my time learning about the person rather than talking about price and tech talk and all that stuff, just because we want to know the people who are building and working in our communities, because that's what makes this community so great.
Wow, that was really succinct. Yeah, so where can people find your podcast?
You can go to WholesomeCrypto.com. That's like where everything is. Yeah, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google. I try to put on all the main ones, but if you have one that you want it on, let me know, and I'll try to get that RSS feed in there.
Yes.
Cool. And I know it's also valuable for you to get good referrals, right?
Oh, 100%. I think referrals are the best way for me to get more host people on the show. And if you have a friend or someone that's, working on a project or heavily in the community, I'd love to have them on the show so people in the community can learn about their people.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you. And also, everyone on the show gets a POAP for being on the show. That's my little token of appreciation for everyone as a thank you. And also anyone donates to my Patreon also is a huge thank you all I can say is thank you, because I'm so grateful for everyone that's contributive and helpful, because the community is what makes it so great. And this is my way of giving back.
Besides Superphiz
Cool.
or Logic Beach, who is your favorite person to come on?
You know what? Paul Brody from EY, he was really good. Hudson Jameson was really good. Lefteris. I mean, so many amazing people. Justin LaRue from Grid Plus. Cole from Grid Plus. That Grid Plus team is just amazing. I had 3 of them on. But yeah, there's just so many great people on there.
It's a pleasure to have you on Wholesome Crypto. Hopefully, maybe someday I get to be on your podcast too. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Good. It's a good referral there, right?
Let's make a poll. Want that?
Hey, I hear POAP mint opportunity, and I pounce, right? But all right, Superphiz, Thank you so much for hosting our community corner this week. Hopefully, it's something that we're able to do a little bit more in the future and give a little bit more time to. I would love everybody to be able to really talk about what they're doing in our community, how they give POAPs to people who interact, and as your name would suggest, be wholesome in crypto. But all right. So, we only have one more segment left for today, and Unvetica, you are going to champion that. You are going to have our Poep Spotlight for this week.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go over...
All right. So I had asked you
Awesome.
to
Do I
basically
just talk about them, or do you show them?
yeah, sure. I'm gonna post them in the community calls chat, and you can say whatever you want about them. I had asked you to show anything that either you have worked on or participated in, things that you thought were cool to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you begin.
Very cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will try to be very quick with all of these, so we're not going on too late here. But the first one I've got here, this is an active POAP distribution campaign right now. You can learn more about all the specific details over on EthStaker website, EthStaker.cc. But specifically, that is the Ropsten merge POAP. Right, so we're talking about the merge. It's not just a meme anymore. This is reality. It's happening, and we're inching closer every day to that reality. And there are some core communities within the Ethereum ecosystem, specifically EthStaker, the Daily Gwei, Hudson Jameson, and the Ethereum Foundation. We're all getting together, and as the merge implementation is deployed on testnets working up to mainnet, we are we're distributing a POAP for that live streamed community call. So we already did the first one that was on Wednesday, June 8th. The next one is going to be hosted by the Daily Gwei. That date has yet to be announced. So for details on when that is going to be coming up and how you can get your hands on that POAP, go ahead and subscribe over the Daily Gwei or EthStaker, and we'll be announcing those details there. So again, that is an active campaign. So if you're looking to hunt those POAPs, that's a great opportunity. Another one real quick was the EthStaker and CLR Fund QF round. This is something that is very personal in my heart. I'm a huge advocate for public goods and making sure that we get these projects off the ground. EthStaker just finished up a collaboration with CLR Fund, wherein I think it went way over the initial fund. I think the Ethereum Foundation set a purse of 350 DAI, I think it was.
That's 350,000 DAI.
Yes, thank you. Yes, 350,000 DAI.
Slightly more.
And I believe the community pitched in, I think we went past like 400,000 DAI, I think.
Oh, whoa, sir. It's the magic internet number, 420K.
All right, I love it. Even better. Perfect. Yeah. So that was it's a huge win for the community. It's a huge win for these projects, so they can keep going and deploying and maturing. So we have more efficient tooling and education and everything you would need and want to see Ethereum grow within the staking community. So that was a really cool POAP to see minted and distributed. And the last three here I can do real quick. These were just some personal favorites that I wanted to shout out and highlight. The third one here is the I Met Remy Roy at DevConnect. And the reason I need to give Remy a shout out in this one, he went out of his way to make the coolest POAP distribution. So the POAP art itself is great. It's solid artwork. But if you saw him in person at DevConnect, he had a physical coin minted. So that the POAP you see is the actual physical coin representation of that POAP. And on the back of it was the QR code to claim it. It was the classiest, most high-end POAP just received in my life. So shout out to Remy on that one. Just a great way to kind of see how people and individuals are leveraging the power of POAP, not just these platforms. So that was kind of cool. And the last two here, Constitution DAO. This one I made the art for. It was just a fun one. I had to shout out because it was just a moment in crypto history, right? It felt like we were sort of all watching this thing happen. It felt like Twitter was on fire, and everyone was like, "Did it happen? Did it not happen? Who's the cute lady type of thing?" So it was just a very meme-worthy event, and it's something that makes me smirk every time I see it in my POAP wallet. And the last one here, the reason I want to highlight this one was the Altair Ethereum Upgrade Awareness POAP. And the reason this is a fairly old POAP in relation to crypto time, but I wanted to highlight it because it shows a different use case than what we traditionally think as a POAP and a distribution for a POAP. Whereas we think we have to attend something or achieve something. This was a unique instance where we used a POAP to help raise awareness and hopefully motivate node operators to participate in a certain way. So I think it's just very interesting to see these different use cases. The caveat here being, I don't necessarily recommend the way of distribution for this POAP anymore. I don't think it aligns with the best distribution practices anymore, but still just an interesting use case and how POAP can be used, right? It's a non-linear way of using the protocol. Anyone can kind of tap in and use it to their imagination. So those are my 5 highlights. I appreciate it. Thanks, Mojo, for giving me the opportunity.
Yes, absolutely loved your list this week, showing some things that you're involved with, either making the art or communities that you're involved with, or even like with the Altair Ethereum upgrade. It's a POAP that back in the day was fine, but now nowadays we wouldn't really want someone to do that from a best practices perspective. So it is cool to see the evolution of POAP as well in your showcase this week. Again, thank you so much, Unvetica, for sharing that with us. So, we did run a little late today, and we do apologize for that. You should be able to claim your POAP now, or actually, Superphiz, did we have the mint links available yet? I know we're having a small issue with that today. They are available.
Nope, they're uploaded, and I've tested them, and the most important thing is that I got one, so we're all good to go.
Exactly. The most important thing is that I'm able to claim mine as well. So, if you go into the POAP claim channel here in the official POAP Discord and you type /claim, you should get a message from the DGen bot telling you that you have a mint link available, and it's available to you as long as you were here for 10 minutes, did not deafen yourself to restart your timer, leave, anything like that. And yep, should be available for you. But as for everybody that was able to come up today, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your opinions and knowledge and thoughts about things POAP, and talking about what you do for our community, as well as how you use POAP to give back to your community. Definitely hope to see all of you next week, and take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Bye-bye.
See ya.